We're back with Queen Rania of Jordan. In a broader sense, looking at the Middle East, do you think that the forces of moderation are winning? Do you think that, if you will, between the Dubai model and the Al-Qaeda model, Dubai is winning?
I wouldn't say that. I wish I could say that conclusively. I think a lot depends on the political process. I think if we can deliver on peace, and if we can, I think it depends on two things: the political process, such as delivering on peace, and I think it depends on the government's abilities to look beyond just economic gains. I think a lot of investment needs to be done in the human capital in the Arab world, in changing the social landscape. We shouldn't just be looking at investment in education expansion, for example. We need to reform our education system, make sure that we have the right curricula for our young people. Make sure that we invest in labor-intensive areas so that we can provide jobs. 1 in 4 young people in the Arab world is unemployed. We're talking about 70 million young people in the Arab world. 1 in 5 live below the poverty line. So in the Arab world, we need to create 5 million jobs every year just to prevent a rise in unemployment. So that kind of vision is necessary.
Do you feel as though those kinds of forces that are trying to work to a more modern interpretation of Islam are willing to condemn the more backward forces? There's a lot of people who feel that in the world of Islam, the moderates are too scared. They don't speak out. They're.
Moderates generally can be a little complacent, whether it's in the Arab world or elsewhere. That's why you find that the extremists are always the ones with the loudest voices. And what I find that very frustrating, because I often try to send a message that although to be honest, let's be very frank about this. Most terrorist attacks in recent history have been conducted by Muslims. But what I'd like to remind people is that the majority of Muslims are not terrorists. And although these people are maybe the loudest in Islam, but they're not the majority. And they're certainly not these are misrepresentatives of Islam.
Finally, you have 4 children, and you are a very busy, talented, accomplished woman.
Thank you.
Sarah Palin has 5 children and is in the midst of hoping to become vice president. What advice would you give to a working mother of 4 or 5 children? How do you manage to make it all happen?
Never manage to make it all happen, and never expect to make it all happen. I think the first thing that you need to do is to be kinder to yourself. Many women think that they have to achieve that perfect balance between family and work and everything else, and that balance just does not exist. There are some days when you feel you've got everything under control, and other days where it's just all chaotic. It's about reorganizing your priorities every day, about being flexible, about accepting help and asking people to assist you, and it's about having a bit of a sense of humor and just being kind to yourself.
Queen Rania, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.